Guys, welcome back to Cuda Cave. So today we're working on the quarter panel patch, and so far Brandon and I, we've got it cut out. I'll just show you our progress as to what we've got going on, what we got fixed, and hopefully we get this thing welded in today. That's my goal. That's what I really like to get done, and then we got an idea what we need to do on the other side. So just give me a moment, we'll flip you around and we'll show you what we're working with. All right, so here we are. This panel was pretty much rotten right down in this bottom corner here. So what we've done is cut out the old one, and so the panel that we're putting in is right here. So what we wanted to do was make sure that we're flush, we're following the body line. When you follow the body line on these, it's a lot easier to get a straighter weld, straighter finish, and it just better result. So we don't want to follow that body line up there where the trim goes. Come down about 2 inches. So when we cut it out from where I'm going to cut the pan, replacement pan, I've left 2 inches in here, so we got something good to weld to on the back side. So as you can see, we got a patch in here that we got to fix in the pillar. That's not a big deal. We just cut that out, make another one, weld it in, clean up all this inner structure here, get welded into there. The underneath in here, we had to cut into that so that we could actually get the quarter panel patch to fit in, which wasn't too awful bad. Just get in here with a cut-off disc. Get in here with a cut-off disc, cut the old stuff out. The rocker panel's in good shape, so I didn't want to touch it. There it is, guys. The back side of it, we took it down to the inner fender. So yeah, we'll just clean that up. We'll weld that new panel right to it. Stay tuned, guys. We'll show you some more. All right, so here we go, guys. We got that patch in here. I think it turned out all right. We're gonna end up putting some fill around in here, cover up the seam that's going across. I didn't find any seam up in here, so we'll just follow that all the way down. So we drilled some holes for some plug welds along the way. We'll clean those up after it's welded in. Things are lining up quite nice. So we'll run our seam right across here, just below that body line. That way we know that we can get a flush finish on this. Like I said, the car is going black, so it's a little bit of a challenge. Back in here, yeah, we got a little bit of gap up top, but everything will squeeze in, and we'll plug weld down in this side as well. But all in all, I think it's come along quite nicely. So we'll get the welder set up and we'll buzz some stuff in here. All right, guys, so here we go. She's welded in. It actually turned out really nice. Got our holes pre-drilled for our fairing, the ground effects or whatever you want to call it. Ran a weld across here. Mind you, I went section by section, so I didn't heat it up and warp it too awful much. But I think it turned out quite nice. We'll be able to get a nice feather edge on this, nice and smooth. I think the door gap lines up pretty well. Might have to grind this down just a little bit so it's a little bit flatter. But all in all, it turned out quite nice. So the back side in here looks a little bit wiggly. We can straighten that up, but the patch is in. Now we just got to do the other side. So here's the other side, guys. This is on the passenger side. So there's that ground effect, plastic fairing, whatever, fiberglass, I'm not sure what it is. But yeah, it's that quarter's seen better days. So we'll do the same thing on this side. I'll show you a little more in depth on this one as compared to the driver's side. I really wanted to know what I was getting into with removing and cutting and see what's in behind. So now that we know, I can be a little more in depth on this side for you guys. Okay, so I took that plastic piece off of here. What I didn't realize when I took the driver's side off is that not only inside the wheel well is it screwed in, along the bottom is it screwed in, but there's also 2 bolts. This one's rotted away, but 2 bolts that you need to access through the vent door in the pillar. You reach down in here, 7/16 bolt nut, and you just spin them out, and that whole piece just comes off of there. So here's what we got, guys. This side's a little more intense than the driver's side, so I'm glad I'm showing you this one a little more in depth. Looks like we got to patch this up in here. The inner wheel well needs to be patched up a little bit. Down in here, we got to throw a patch in here as well. In here, this is all going to come out anyway, so this one isn't a big concern. But like the other side, we'll come across right in here. We'll cut that, place our new one in there, and weld it in. Like I said, I'll show you a little more in depth on this side. Just this one looks a little more involved than the other side. So first thing we want to do is get rid of this old stuff. We got to get that crap out of here, just junk. So what I did, took the pan and I wanted to go straight across. So we got a straight line that follows this body line here. So these marks right here, this is going to be where we're going to weld that seam. So this tells me that the top of the pan is right here. I want about a 2-inch overlap in between the old and the new. So this is where we're going to cut this off. This is going to be cut here, and then we'll get rid of this junk underneath here. Like, it's really, really seedy. So I'll grab my grinder, we'll set up, and we'll get this cut out. All right, so now that we got the old one cut out of here, we got this cleaned up in here somewhat. So we got to patch up this inner wheel well. We'll throw a patch in behind, maybe in front. We'll figure it out as we go here. There's some spot down in here. I die grind all around in here. We'll put a patch over this. That's not a big deal. Under here, we've cleaned this up. I might have to bang that out a little bit in here. There is a dimple, but we're going to use all metal. It's like a very, very strong body fill, and we should be able to straighten this up and make it look really great. But I'll get set up a little bit more here. We'll cut a piece for in this part, and we'll get the welder going. So with a little bit of sheet metal, I did a little bit of cutting, bending, etc., trying to follow this profile in here. So I want to get rid of this old junk. So I made up this little piece, okay? A couple notches in there to put the curve in. But I think for the most part, this is going to work pretty slick to fix up those bad spots in here. Give us something solid to weld to with our patch. So I'm just going to go ahead, I trace that out where I want it. I'm going to cut these lines all the way down into here, and then we'll weld that in. That's going to give us a nice solid surface to weld that patch panel to. Whoop, sorry I got off on the side here. But that's going to give us a nice spot to put our patch panel. Then we'll fix this up a little bit. Got another spot up in here that I got to fix. But we'll carry on here. We'll get that spot replaced. Because, yeah, it's pretty punky in here. So, there's that patch welded in here, guys. It's not the most beautiful thing, but it doesn't need to be beautiful. We just need to rebuild the structure a little bit in here. Once we put that patch on there, we can put a little more weld in behind, weld the quarter patch onto here. So we'll fit the patch in here, drill our holes for plug welding, and then we got to address that little hole right here in the pillar. Looks like somebody at one point brazed in here. Trouble with these old cars, once you get into it, you find more and more little stuff, and it's the little stuff that you got to address when you're putting panels in. So we'll just go ahead, we'll fit that panel, drill our holes for the fairing, for the plastic that mounts to it, and then I think we'll be ready to weld that in. Okay, so in this little area that I'm working in here, we'll just get in here, we'll show you what we got with the pan sitting in here. I think it's looking all right. Everything's lining up nicely. We're gonna have a nice cut right across here. Well, not cut, but that's just gonna where we're gonna weld that in. Got a little wiggle in here, but that's all right. We want it to concave just a little bit so that we can put our fill in there and feather it out. Sitting nicely. Let me get the camera in the right spot. Sitting nicely in here. I gotta push in a little bit on the bottom when I weld it in, but that's not a big deal. But all in all, it's fitting very nicely. And yeah, we got a little bit of a rust patch to do in here. But yeah, it's fitting quite nice, guys. So I'm just gonna go ahead and weld that in, grind down some welds, and we'll show you the end product. Okay, so here we go, guys. Got this all welded in, plug weld down the side. Got a little bit of repair here on the inner wheel well, but that's not a big issue. We can address that a little bit later. Got our seam in here, we're concaved. I don't know if you can see that it's indented here, but it'll give us a great base for some filler. Back in here, we got the patch in here. I haven't ground down the welds yet, but we'll clean that up. It was just a big gaping hole, so I threw a patch over top. Grind down those welds, clean it up a little bit. I'm using a metal body filler when I do this, so it'll fill some of those voids. It'll give a nice clean seam on here, likewise along in this side. But for the most part, this is fitting really nice. Got a little tweaks here and there, but hey, the patch is in. No more big rotted hole right down in here. Guys, if you like what you're seeing, please subscribe, like, comment. Love seeing your comments. The words of encouragement, and even if you want to criticize the work. Makes me a better body man. But thanks for watching, guys. Till the next time, stay tuned.